Okay, so I'm sitting here, paused, like this is a Facebook Live, and I'm waiting for people to come on. So yeah, that's not what this is. It's one of those days, y'all. So let me see if I can get some decent lighting here. As always, adjust that. I think this seems to be okay. So, um, quick video on what people like to call the lunar effect, which most of us has probably heard of before. Again, this is your girl, Laura Mystique, your goddess, your mystic in the live. Hello, hello, divine beings. The reason why I was doing this was because I've been hearing a lot of and seeing a lot of posts where people are still talking about, oh, since the full moon, or the super moon, and the eclipse, they still have been just having a lot of differences with their energy, the way they still been feeling, can still feel it, even though we kind of are shifting into the next phases of the moon. And so it got me kind of thinking about what the full moon really represents and this lunar effect, right? So, if most of us have actually heard of the lunar effect, in general terms, really quickly, it's basically that there is an effect that the moon does have on us physiologically, emotionally, psychologically. And even though there's a lot of debate whether that is actually proven or not. So, even in the psychology field, in the counseling field, we tend to be very split where you have a lot of people who believe that there is validity to the moon have an effect on us as beings. Then you have the other half that says no, there's no scientific proof. I am one that believes the moon does have an effect on us as energetic beings. I don't necessarily believe the moon is the complete controlling driving force, but there are to me definitely documented and evidence correlations between emotions, behaviors, and incidents that do occur that line up with the moon, even with myself. And so, in a nutshell, that's kind of what that lunar effect is. And so, I just wanted to bring that to light because it's something that we tend to not really think about the magnitude of the moon. And there's a lot of focus on the new moon and the full moon more so than the other phases. And I'm kind of going to stick with that just because those seem to be the two that have the biggest impact on people. And especially the full moon, we hear all the time about an increase in births and deaths, suicide rates, also like aggression and violence. There's an increase in the hospitals with cases. With me working in the mental health field, I definitely can personally say where I tend to have saw an increase in some mental health symptoms, psychosis, depression, anxiety, things of that nature. But it's not all negative though. Then there are these other great effects too that are all about reflective and feeling all feminine and intuitive and emotional, which is not a negative thing. That is a connotation that our society has made us feel or puts out there that being emotion and connected with your emotion is negative, right? Like women are so emotional and men are logical, and so we've kind of have that programming in our head with being attuned to your emotions, being attuned to the energy, the feelings of yourself, the planets, others is an amazing gift and an amazing thing to have. And so we really have to start shifting our consciousness just to think about how we even view some of these terms and view some of these things, because there's nothing wrong with being in touch with your emotions. There's nothing wrong with being expressive with your emotions. Now, it's different when you say that your thoughts and your emotions control you, because just because you have a feeling or thought doesn't mean you have to yield power to it. What you feel is what you feel, what you think is what you think. But a lot of those feelings and thoughts do come from deeper programming that is actually not in alignment with our highest good, right? And it's really not even from us, it's from that programming that we've been subject to all of our lives. And so I don't want to get into a big tangent on that because I can go into programming and talk about that forever. So I do have a couple of notes because when I don't write notes, I get off on a tangent like I almost just did. So I don't want to do that. But again, so kind of, there's terms that that you've heard, I'm sure, probably like lunatic, lunacy, moonstruck, all these different kind of terms, which again, to me, have a very carry a negative connotation, which makes you feel like connecting with the moon is something crazy, right? And something that doesn't serve us and is not beneficial to us. And anytime that personally there's all this programming and negative emphasis placed on a person, a thing, an element, whatever that is, I encourage you to think about the reason behind it and why. Like, why would it be beneficial to have us distance from that thing? That's all I'm going to say when we get into programming. Because to me, the disconnecting us from the moon, disconnecting us from that energy, disconnects us from the divine feminine, which we all have, both male and female. It disconnects us from being one with self, your intuition, your emotions. And when you think about that, that means it really disconnects you from being the being who you really are and truly manifesting everything that you want, that you desire, and showing up present with self, in the world. So I just kind of implore you to think about that. But again, as I kind of stated, we do see some increased behaviors during the full moon. Something else that tends to be disturbed a lot is your sleep patterns, whereas, it actually takes longer to fall asleep and to relax. It actually also, we show people get around 30%, I think, or more, somewhere in that range, less sleep during the full moon as well. And of course, we know all this with the emotions and everything that kind of comes up. So, this is what I want to say about that. In general, the moon tends to. Is this a good angle? Because I feel like. Okay, so in general, the moon tends to magnify and intensify a lot of things and most things. And so, and eventually, I guess I need to get a tripod or something, right? And so what that means is it's shining, especially during the full moon. The reason why it tends to have this bigger effect is because that's the period where the moon is more illuminated. Okay, and so think about it from the perspective of the full moon is shining its bright light on all of those things. And so, since the moon is connected to our emotions, our intuitions, our feelings, our shadow selves, our deeper, inner thoughts, and those things, it's going to bring to light those things underneath the surface. And so, the reason why typically it has such a big effect on people, or where people really struggle during that time, is because the things that are coming to light are things that we have been suppressing and not dealing with. And so, if you have been suppressing an issue, a feeling, something that's occurred to you, not dealing with it, not healing, and that comes full circle during the full moon, it's going to be intensified and magnified. It's going to make you feel some kind of way. And so, the best way to actually manage coping with the moon, but also with utilizing that energy to the best of our abilities, which is to heal, to release, to connect, to manifest, is to not suppress, to be in touch with your emotions, to be in touch with who you are, and to be in touch with the inner desires that you have in your shadow self. And I'm going to do another video on the shadow self and shadow work, because I know that can be a little confusing for a lot of people. But think about it in general terms as the darkness, right? The things that lie within us we don't typically share. It's not all of a bad thing. It also can be, like your secrets, your hidden truths. Your subconscious is very much related to the moon and your shadow self. And again, that's not all negative, the way we like to make the way it comes across a lot of times. And so that's the reason why we really have this big, huge lunar effect, is because people are disconnected. And in today's society, we're not mindful and present anymore. We're all connected to our social media or technology, which I'm a technology person, so don't get that twisted. But I still believe in taking moments out the day to check in with self and be present with self and the experiences that you're having around you. And so that's through mindfulness, that's through meditation, reflection, journaling, quality time, self-love, just all these different things. And since we're on a Friday today, which is Love Day, Venus Day, this is a perfect time to go inward. And so if you've been feeling a certain kind of way and things are been present for you since the eclipse and the full moon, this is a great day to really just take some time and reflect on what is that message? What is really there that you have not been dealing with? What is the programming or the thoughts that's connected to that? Why haven't you wanted to deal with it? And utilize this day to transmute that and to give yourself love and for acceptance and and connect with the energy of Venus, but also connect with the energy of the moon on today as well, because they go hand in hand, right? And as we know, love is the truest, highest vibration that there is. And so, if you really can combine that to me with the energy and essence of the moon, I feel like that's just like unstoppable. Like, as you can probably see, I'm definitely a moon child at heart. Um, like I said, I'm going to keep this brief. I just wanted to share that with you. And so, today is a great day to love on yourself and to remember that the moon is also a representation of the divine feminine. And so, when you're tapping into self love, when you're tapping into the divine feminine, that is moon energy. So it is utilizing on that and connecting with that energy within itself. And again, this is for men as well. This is not just about women. As much as we like to think men, we don't tend to associate the self-love with men, and even if though it may be different with how it portrays or comes out, it's still definitely very important. And it's really important to have that balance of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. We need both. We all have both, and both are equally important. So, quick video on the lunar effect. A couple things you also can do just to manage so that the moon isn't so intense for you. As I said, is one, being in tune with yourself. And a lot of times we think, well, I'm not thinking about something, so I've dealt with it, I moved on. That's not how that shit works. Like the majority of the time, if you're not thinking about something, it's because it's been buried and buried and buried, and you haven't dealt with it. And you ever heard the saying, what happens in the dark comes to light? That's really true. And what that really means is because anything that's buried and suppressed and hidden in the darkness is growing. That seed is there, it's being harvested, and it always comes up to the surface in some way or the other, whether you know it or not, whether you connect the dots to that or not. It presents itself in our life. And the longer we repress that and suppress that, it actually magnifies those thoughts, feelings, emotions, whatever that is, versus actually transmuting it. And I'm going to believe that you can transmute anything that has happened or occurred to you, that you can actually transmute that to make it work in your best interest and to be self-honoring for you. Okay, so I know I was getting all lax, like slouched down. This chair is comfortable. So, what I was going to say, one quick way to do that outside of being into, well, they go together actually, journaling. Journaling is very good because if you start to track how you feel, what you're thinking, how you're behaving, all these different things with the different cycles and phases of the moon, it will help you to prepare for that in the next cycle. Like there's patterns that are always present. And so that is one way to definitely like keep a lunar journal, a lunar diary, just to manage and look at, okay, so you can go back and say, what are the patterns? What do I typically feel and what kind of comes up for me? And that will also help you to know what you should be working on, what you need to release, or the energy that you need to bring into and call into your life, and the things that you were doing throughout the different phases. Like that's one of the biggest things that I can suggest is just being present. Practice mindfulness. If you struggle with meditation, start with mindfulness. Meditation, I think, we need to really adjust our thoughts regarding that as well. Because to me, meditation is just spending time quiet with self alone. It's not about going into this place where your mind is automatically completely turned off and shut down, and the way it has to be like, and it can be, but it's not all that. It's really connecting with yourself. And so if you struggle with sitting down, that quiet guided meditation is good to start with as well, but definitely even mindful practices throughout the day, which is just sitting with and checking in with self, taking a moment, a pause throughout the day, like that mindful moment, and just going, okay, what am I experiencing? What am I feeling? What is going on around me? And using your senses as well. What do I see? What do I hear? What am I tasting? What do I touch? Just all these different things. And that's how you really connect with yourself and start to reconnect and build that foundation. And then you'll see you can do it longer and longer. It starts to come naturally for you and all these different good things. So I'm getting to my time. Because like I said, I like to keep these 10 to 15 minutes because then it gets a little difficult. And I think that was all I wanted to say just regarding the lunar effect. I'm going to do another one right after this about self-love and the moon, maybe. I don't know, or loving the moon, but again, divine feminine. So, Allure Mystique, I am out. I will see you guys again very soon. You divine beings, gods and goddesses, go and be great and love on yourself today. Okay? I'll talk to you soon. Bye.